Welcome to EduTechGuys with David Henderson and Jeff Madlock. Hey, welcome to EduTechGuys Radio. This is live coming to you from the Southwest Arkansas Educational Co-op in Hope, Arkansas. I'm Jeff Madlock, and I'm here with David Henderson.
How's it going? I'm the technology coordinator here at the Southwest Arkansas Education Cooperative, and Jeff is the tech coordinator for Hope Public Schools right down the road here in Hope, Arkansas.
Hey, we're glad to have you. This is our first episode. We thought we'd try this out and see how it works out for us and see if we have any listeners. Right now, we look like we have one out there. If you're listening from the website, you might not have the ability to chat with us. But if you actually go to mixler.com/edutechguys, you can actually chat with us and send us any questions you might have during the show, and we'll attempt to answer them or hedge around it as best we can.
That's right.
So, that's possible that it wouldn't get answered. Well, you know what? We'll make up something either way. You'll feel good going away with an answer.
That's right. You'll walk away with a good feeling one way or another.
Hey, you can also catch blogs by David and myself and other techs from the area and from the nation, from the world, and a few from outer space on edutechguys.com. That's EduTechGuys, EduTechGuys.com. Find lots of stuff out there from us. I guess we'll jump into this. Most schools in the state of Arkansas are doing some snow days. So they're finishing up this week or finished up last week, and finishing up some are actually, I think, finishing up next week because they had more snow days than we did here in the South.
Yeah, I know if I'm not mistaken, most of the schools in our area will be out. Tomorrow is generally their last day. There may be a couple going to Friday, but most of them will be out this week. So we're getting ready to wrap up the end of the school year and head into the summer, which for the districts is a time where they generally wind down in terms of teachers and administrators. The tech departments, however, usually wind up whatever major projects. I don't mean wind up to end, but they gear up to launch their summer projects. And here at the co-op, we gear up big time for all of our summer professional development.
That's a big deal. It's funny. I always say the tech departments do more work in the some months of the summer than anyone we do normally for the year. And David's right. Out here at the co-op, there's lots of educational offerings for the summer and professional development. I guess not only for the schools in this area, but for anyone that wants to sign up and make the drive.
Sure, yeah. Hey, anybody out there.
Pay the money.
That's right. Anybody wants to come out, and you can actually get the listing for everything. Now we're going to specifically talk about Google-related offerings in this particular episode, but you can go out to SWAEC.org. That's SWAEC.org, and click on the professional development button that we have right there on the home screen. And the easiest way to check out the offerings probably is to use the links for the various months. There's June, July, August. We chose 3 months at a time. 3 months at a time. And you can go out there and see all of the offerings, not just technology, but all the things we do. Of course, we're the EduTech guys, part of the EduTech guys, so we're mostly going to focus on technology workshops. And as I had mentioned before, today we're actually going to talk about Google Apps for Education and some of the offerings that we have that are Google related.
Yeah, that's a really big deal. In Hope Public Schools, we use Google Apps pretty much exclusively. It's been a big change, and I think that David would agree that even here at the co-op, moving people from one word processor, to use an old term, to Google Docs, to the Google Doc app is pretty interesting. Most people don't realize that they only use like 2% of what Excel can do anyway, so using a spreadsheet in Google Docs is probably just fine. But today we're going to take a look at, it is summertime, more schools are moving to GAF. I can't really think of any that aren't on GAF, that don't use Google Apps for Education. And so we want to make sure that we're trying to cover maybe what you're getting ready to do for your PD this summer. So we don't know who's listening. If you want to, well, I'll throw this out there one more time. Mixler, mixlr.com/EduTechGuys. If you'll go to that site, you'll be able to chat with us directly from there. The chat window is open. If you have any questions or you want us to cover a topic, we'll do our best we can do. Or, like I said earlier, we'll make it up. So
That's right. We can wing it,
yeah, we can wing it.
We're pretty much winging this, so I think we'll be okay.
That's true. One of the things we want to talk about are the offerings, and I think if your school district hasn't looked at Classroom, if you haven't looked at GAF, you definitely need to look at Google Apps. Everything is there to share in the cloud, to have your teachers run all their classrooms and their assignments and everything that they need right off Google Classroom. So, that's something you definitely should probably look into.
Well, and what's really cool this summer, one of the things that we're offering is we have a Google Classroom for elementary and middle schools, and that's actually coming up next week. That'll be on the 8th, and we got plenty of spots available if you want to check that out. And this is specifically aimed at elementary and middle school teachers. A lot of the offerings, frankly, tend to hit I would say upper middle and high school folks in terms of their content, the offerings that we have. But this one, again, is aimed straight at elementary and middle schools. Now, we do have later in the summer, we do have a Google Classroom for high school, and that is on July 29th. So you can find those, again, www.swaec.org. Go to professional development, and in there you can click on June or July, and you can find out those particular offerings. But I think it's going to be, I would call it an introductory couple of courses, get folks kind of up to speed on what they can do with Google Classroom at those particular grade levels.
Yeah, I think it is. It's interesting. One thing that we've been working on and talking about between David and I and the other techs in this area is that the educational co-op will be offering separate classes. There'll be classes on just docs. There'll be classes on just Classroom. There'll be classes on individual pieces of Google Apps, of GAF. But I think that the big thing is to find that to fix that blurry line between those. That's a really, like, using the whole thing as one piece. And so that's a real big deal that the co-op might provide you with that information, individual workshops, and but what else it might do is help your people put together that when they get back to your school district for the PD that you're going to do in August, and help them take all those parts and pieces and put it together into one seamless, organizational piece for your teachers. That's a really big deal. And so we're going to go through some of these right now. I had a list. Do you have a list of the workshops? I know we had a list of the workshops the co-op's providing.
I do have a list, as a matter of fact. Look at there. We can go through that pretty quickly. Before we get to that, though, I just want to, for the folks who may be joining in who aren't anywhere near Hope, Arkansas, as we're talking about Google Apps for education and different ways that things are being rolled out in our area, what I definitely want to stress is that no matter where you are, hopefully you'll take away some ideas that maybe you can use in professional development in your area, or if you have an education service center that services your particular district, then maybe you can work with them and say, hey, we were listening to these guys and they had a couple of cool ideas, so we could look at that. Now that's okay. So looking at, so now just to talk specifically about some of the Google related workshops that our particular education service center is offering, as we mentioned earlier, using Google Classroom in elementary and middle schools. We have also a Google for beginners, and it's kind of an all-encompassing workshop. It's going to cover Gmail and calendar, sheets, docs, slides, draw. It's going to kind of give a high-level overview of a lot of the different applications that are a part of the Google Apps environment. And then we also have Not So New to Google, which is sort of a follow-up to helping take folks to the next level, talking about Google Classroom, Google Apps in education, talking about Chrome extensions, different form add-in features, different things you can do with forms that take simple surveys to the next level, other information collection to the next level, that type of thing. And then we have taking, as a matter of fact, there's also a taking Google Forms to the next level. So not only are you taking the apps across the board to the next level in that previous workshop, but this particular taking Google Forms to the next level really talks about other things that you can do with it, with the Google Forms specifically, in terms of running certain scripts that help with different aspects of using Google Form. And I apologize for stumbling there, but what was running through my brain is one of the things that I do with Google Forms is I've got a script that frankly I got from somebody else. That's generally how things work, right? You find somebody else that's using something that's working and you kind of take it and adapt it. But I've got a script that I run on a lot of my forms such that when somebody fills out the form, then it generates an email back to them with the information that they had put in to the form. So I get a copy of their results, not only in the results from the form, but I get a copy of the results in my email, and those folks get a copy of those same results in their email. I can tell you where that really comes in handy is in my particular case. Sometimes they'll fill out a form and maybe I don't get the results, especially it's really weird, but sometimes I don't get the results in the Google responses themselves, but I've got the email, or they'll say, hey, I filled that out. Here's my confirmation. Oh yeah, okay, I see, I got you. We got you covered. So, I think those are kind of some of the things that may be learned in this taking Google Forms to the next level. And then the last Google workshop that we have is the Google Classroom for high school. Now there are a whole lot of other tech offerings that we have for sure at the co-op during the summer, but since this is, right now anyway, we're kind of focusing on Google, I figured I'd bring those up. And again, for those of you who may not be in the Hope area or even just outside the Hope area and feel like driving in, maybe those give some folks some ideas as to, hey, yeah, that'd be cool if we could have somebody here offering those.
Yeah, and if you're sweet to David and you make the miss in the email, and you're even outside of the U.S., if you're in a different state and you'd like to see one of these workshops, I could probably force him and bend his arm, twist his arm a little bit, and they might even put this out there and live stream it. They could live stream some of these workshops just as easy as we could teach them local, and maybe just podcast them later. And there's that stuff we're talking about in education that it's the hot words, it's the keywords, it's hot topics of what can you do, what's in the cloud, one-to-one, one-to-one, one-to-one. It's interesting between the schools that use Apple iPads, which Hope Public Schools uses all iPads, and schools that use Chromebooks. One thing about a one-to-one device is a kid has to make it personal. If a kid doesn't make that device personal, then it kind of loses its edge. If you grew up in the 70s and 80s, you remember covering your books with book covers, and you got to draw on them, you got to make them your own. And that was a big thing about notebooks. Your notebook was 2 or 3 pages of notes, and then a jet plane and the Incredible Hulk, because you drew them while you're
Yes.
But that's the same thing that's happening now. But the really interesting part in using Google Apps and you using a Chromebook or an Apple iPad or a Surface tablet is that the kids have the ability to multitask while they're learning, and that's a real big deal. You don't just have to have one Google Doc open. You can have 17 tabs open and be working on multiple Google Docs at one time. I think that's the part that's changing, is that I don't think some teachers realize the amount of work they can give to students. They can actually, quadruple the amount of work they're giving to students, and it's actually easier for them in Google Apps because they're gonna blow right through it. They're gonna use Google. They're gonna use search engines, and that's that fine line. I know that this show is called EduTechGuys, and maybe if you're going to tune in to find out how to set up VLANs, then one day we'll have Greg Moore on and let you learn all about that.
That's right.
But, and we can also do that. If that's what you want to hear about is VLANs, that's great. But today we thought we would center in on what Google Apps does, how it works for everybody, and what you can get from it. Like David said, here at the co-op, there's going to be a lot of good stuff out there. Folks that use Google Apps, the ability to use shared drives, use shared folders inside Google Apps is amazing. And I think most schools are using that at a pretty low level. I don't think they're realizing that more teachers would probably hit it and use the information that's in it if the information was updated. And I think that's the big deal. Same thing goes for kids. If you think giving kids a digital, to use the term, I'm doing air quotes right now, to use the digital format once a week is going to keep your kids using technology in the classroom, you're so wrong. You've got to use it every day. It's just like those of you that might be following us because of Twitter. If you don't tweet every day, you lose followers, and people don't really care what you say. It's just the way it goes. So the folks have to keep up that way. So make sure that that's one of your big pushes when they come back this summer from workshops all over the country and say, hey, I use Google Classroom, or I learned to use Sheets and this plugin that pulls stuff from a Google Doc and populates my Google Sheets, or my forms are full of this, and I've been getting these assignments turned in. That's really going to make it go down really heavy. I tell you what, we're going to take just a quick break right now, just to get some stuff together, and we'll be right back. So stay tuned. We'll be right back on the block. Hey, thanks for holding on out there. Well, I just took a quick break, take a look at something. Welcome back. This is EduTechGuys Radio, episode 1, coming from Southwest Arkansas Co-op and Hope, Arkansas. I'm Jeff Madlock, Tech Coordinator at Hope Public Schools, and I'm here with David Henderson.
Hi, I'm David Henderson. I'm the Tech Coordinator here at Southwest Arkansas Education Cooperative. We appreciate you joining us today, and we're mostly focusing on Google Apps for Education and Google Classrooms. We talked a little bit about some of the offerings that the co-op has, and I am going to a little bit later in the show, we're going to cover some of the other offerings that we've got. Just I think that are going to be kind of fun, kind of cool stuff. But I think Jeff is wanting to get into Google Classrooms a little bit more. I'm actually not all that familiar with Classroom, so this will be good for all of us who are kind of new to that.
Yeah, Google Classroom, when it came out, almost a year ago, a little over a year ago, when it started hitting the mainstream, it was first just invite only, and then they just opened the thing wide up. The interesting part that I think turns off most people is the simplicity. The simplicity of Google Classroom is there's really not a lot there, but there is a lot there. I used to tell stories that, what's the first thing that most elementary kids do? They play school. That's something that kids do on their free time when they're at home. They play school because it's easy to play school. You know, you set up your little classroom, you give assignments, and you do work. Well, that's pretty much what Google Classroom is itself. If you're currently on Google Apps for Education, then all you have to do is go to classroom.google.com. If you're logged into your Google Apps, then you're automatically at your Classroom site. Your Google admins will need to make sure that it is all turned on and all that kind of good stuff, but most of them have probably already done that because I'm taking up for all the EduTech out there. They're already on top of this. They probably turned it on and said, yeah, man, this is cool. They should be using it. And that's the way that it usually goes down.
Absolutely.
What's really interesting about the classroom is you set the classroom up to build a classroom is actually pretty interesting. There's a plus sign near your login name in the top right-hand corner, and you get to either create a class or join a class. And when you create a class, it gives you two things. It says, what's the class name and what's the section? I mean, it's that easy. So you create your class name, you create your section, and boom, it's there. And you have this new class created. And what's really great is it gives you a little background screen, and you can change your theme and upload a photo for it and all that kind of stuff. But what's really great is there's three things on that page: stream, students, and about. I actually want to start with the about because this is the really interesting part. You can invite other teachers to help you with this.
Cool.
So you can, go into the about, you can change the title, you can give a class description, you can give a room number, and then you can associate a Google Drive folder. But what's interesting is the moment you create the classroom, it creates a Google Drive folder in your Google Drive. So it's the name and the section that you've already created.
Okay, so let me just pause right here a minute, just because, again, I'm so new to this. So would a teacher create one classroom on here, and that would cover, like, say they were taught 7 periods a day, that would cover all 7 periods, or would they create a separate classroom for each period?
Yes. Second one.
Thanks.
So, yeah, and that's exactly what would happen. See, since it asks you the name of the class and the section, there could be class, it could be biology first period.
Okay.
And then you create one called biology second period. Now,
Right.
if all those classes are the same, which they won't be, and every teacher will tell you that, although they might try to do the same thing, they are going to deviate once they get in there.
Sure. Okay.
So, but yeah, you would create each section as being third hour, fourth hour,
Okay.
fourth period, 1:30, A day, B day. You create all, hence the name, I think, classroom, instead of.
Right. Okay.
So
right.
it's,
Sure. Sure.
it wants you to build multiple classrooms.
Okay.
What's great about the about section is you can invite a teacher. You can put up all your room number and stuff into the information. And then down at the bottom, it lets you add materials. So these are materials that you can go ahead and add to it. So when you click it, it says, what's the title of this? And so, it could just be needed materials for the class, or these are prerequisites for the class, or this is everything you might need for this classroom. And when you get to it, it's really pretty cool. It lets you attach a file,
Okay.
attach something from your drive. So it could be tons of documents, a syllabus, anything else that you make. Also, it lets you attach YouTube videos and attach links to other websites. So those are built in when the kid gets there, the student. It might not be a kid, it could be a university student.
Sure. Sure.
And once they get there, and that's a done deal. What's really nice is if you go back to the front page of the stream is what you share with your class, which gives you announcements, which every day before you leave, don't forget to read pages 27 through 36,
Sure.
blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
And what's great about an announcement is it lets you also attach things to an announcement. It also lets you choose exactly what other classrooms you can attach it to. So if you have multiple classes built, you can go over to the side and go, it's for this class, but also do biology second period, biology fourth period, and biology fifth period. And there's a checkbox that you can check, which will allow you to do multiple posts to multiple classrooms for an announcement. Same thing goes for the cool thing at the top called assignments.
Cool.
And so the assignments let you do a title and a description. Then you can also attach to it. Now, if you created a PDF form that they need to fill out, or you wanted to pull something from your drive, or just, hey, watch this video. What's neat about it is you can pick a date that it's due. You can even pick a time that it's due.
Cool.
Once again, you can actually choose multiple classes. You can let them say, hey, I want this to go to 2 classes, 3 classes, all the classes, and it's done. That's a really neat thing. Now, people always say, so how do kids join the class? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. Your kids can join the class by going to the actual site. You can give them a link to the site. Say, go here. And it gives them a code. And they actually just put the code in so anyone could join the class. Your principal could say, hey, listen, I'm going to come and I'll be evaluating you next Tuesday. Great, let me send you the code to that class so you can join and follow my classroom stream right now and see what my kids are doing. So when they come into class, they've already looked and said, oh, tomorrow they're going to be doing widgets and wizards. I'm going to see that lesson.
Okay, so the teacher then would provide the link to the actual Google Classroom for that class and the code.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, what's really neat is that's an invite is what you do.
All right.
What's really great is you can invite students or just give them the code. So when they go to Google classroom.google.com, they can say join class, put the code in, and it's going to take them right to it.
Oh, so they don't actually even have to have the link to the actual class.
Exactly.
They could just go to classroom.google.com, put that code in, and it knows where to.
Right.
Well, okay, well, that's cool. I was thinking, for some reason, I was thinking you were going to have to send that whole URL to the student and the code.
Right. No, you just.
But they just go to classroom, put in the code,
in and
join
boom.
the class.
And what's cool is you
Okay.
can change the code at any time. You can reset it if you start getting a bunch of kids that got the code and they're not in the class and
Sure.
you're going through deleting kids. And what's neat is that you have the opportunity for the kids in that class. Students can post and comment. The students can only comment, and then only the teacher can post or comment. So
Okay.
you have a way to really handle that.
Sure.
One of the interesting ways that you can do this is that if you already are Google for apps for education school, then you can click the invite button, and then you can just search all the kids' email addresses on your current Google apps, add them to it, and invite them. Therefore, the code's never needed. They get the email, they click the link, they're then a member, and it's taken care of.
Right.
The
And
code's not
the nice
floating
thing
around.
about that is all of that is done inside the Google Apps for Education environment. So you're not relying on some kind of external email address for those students. Those students, assuming that it has been set up this way for your district, those students already exist in the system under their particular student domain or whatever. And so when you invite them along, they're still within that quote unquote safe school environment.
Exactly.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that's a pretty neat thing. I've heard some places that allow the parents, especially if it's just teacher can post only. That's kind of neat. If the teacher can post only, then you could let parents follow that. That could just be, you want to know what's going on in class. You're also a member of this classroom, just like your child is. So, you can invite them. They don't necessarily. I think they have to have a Google login, but it doesn't have to be with the school. So
Sure,
therefore, they
sure.
can follow along with it. To me, it's one of the most beautiful ways that Google's harnessed, their apps for education. What's really interesting about it is the way it's going to grow, the way it's already grown. They've already added several features into it that make it, really pretty nice. But yeah, that's Google Classroom, and that's it. That's how simple the whole thing is, and how well it can be used. We have a ton of teachers that use it. Since we debuted it last year, because we were one of the first schools to be allowed to use it, and so we debuted it at the beginning of this last school year and threw it out there, and almost immediately, we had tons of teachers using it, and the kids love it because no matter where you are, if you're on a cell phone or you're on any device, as long as you can get on the internet,
Sure.
you can go to your classroom and find out, what was I supposed to do tomorrow? When was that paper due? When was this thing supposed to be done? Oh, good, she put a template, or he put a template. The teacher put a template on there, so I've got a template. Oh, hey, great, that's all I had to do. I can handle that. Pretty sharp stuff.
That is very sharp stuff.
I think it's one of the smarter things Google's done. But so there's Google Classroom.
And then, again, me being new to Classroom, let's say with assignments or I don't know, whatever quizzes, tests, whatever they post up there, I'm assuming there's marking available that goes with that. Can they grade the stuff? Can the students? How does that work?
I believe there is. I'm not 100% sure.
All right.
I do know that a lot of our teachers use annotations inside when the kids turn to the pages.
Okay, sure.
They can turn in to the drive,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of our teachers go in and that's how they grade. They annotate. I know that there is a plugin out there. It's an addition. All the plugins that Google Chrome Store provides is amazing. One of them actually allows you to not only annotate like you can if you've used Google Docs, then you know all the cool stuff you can do with reviews and sharing and a little
Right,
bit.
sure, commenting. And
But I think it's neat. They have one that's also an audio comment, so that the
that's
teacher
cool.
can click and type in a comment, but then just leave an audio comment. Hey, this is a comma splice. Don't comma splice. That's will ruin you in life. You'll never get a job.
That's
So that could be comma splices will ruin that. People remember that.
That's right.
But yes,
You'll be taken down by the grammar police.
doggone Oxford comma will get you every time.
That's right.
So, but yeah, that's you're getting to see. There's the interesting part. We're just tech guys. So teachers. That's why I love if you're listening to us right now. Mixler mixlr.com /EduTechGuys EduTechGuys. If you log in there, you have the opportunity to chat with us. There's also an app for Android and iPhone. You can download the Mixler app. Listen to EduTechGuys, and you'll be able to chat with us. If you have any questions, please pop them up on the chat board, and we'd love to answer them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we can talk for a long time, and we'll make up stuff. That's we won't make up stuff.
Well, we'll try not to make up too much stuff. We'll try to get to the answer that you really want.
He's shaking his head yes right now. Why he's saying that? So.
Yes.
We won't make up stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, we won't make up stuff. As I shake my head, no. So that's. But yeah, that's just Google Classroom. So, that's pretty amazing in itself, and I think that most people. And here's the beautiful thing too, play with it. If you're already on Google Apps for Education, go out there and mess around with it, because you're going to love it once you do it. I think that's what this summer is all about. I think teachers look forward to summer and PD, because you're going to see 3 things minimum, maybe 10 things minimum this summer that you just love. Well, take that opportunity while you're lounging at the lake, or you're sitting at the beach, or you're in the backyard with your feet in the kiddie pool while the kids splash around, or whatever you're doing. Take that opportunity to sit down with Google Apps and play around with it, because you most likely your district's probably already using it.
Well, and you had mentioned that earlier, and I'm not sure how it is obviously across the United States, but definitely in our area, even the districts who were not necessarily receptive to Google Apps and the Google using that environment, they've actually moved in that direction. So we have, just for an example, we have a couple of districts that were pretty well centered on just using, and I'm not bashing these folks by any stretch, I'm just saying that the districts were centered on the Microsoft platform. And so they were using the Office Online, they were using, OneDrive, so they were using those things pretty well exclusively. But what they found is that in some cases, either Google offered them something that they couldn't quite get from the Microsoft offering, or most cases the teachers were already using Google Apps for certain things, and as they got to looking into what those apps have to offer, and especially if you enroll into the Google Apps for Education environment, they started jumping onto it and say, "Oh yeah, man, I didn't know we could do this. I didn't know you could do that." So it's been an interesting shift to watch in our particular area specifically, but I know across the state and obviously across the country as well. But I think one of the things that we had touched on earlier is that blurry line between education, curriculum, assessment, that side of things, and the tech side of things. And I think that's where any chance that an educator can get training in anything really, but specifically since we're talking about Google, if you get some of that training and learn just a little bit, take a little bite of that cheese, just give me a little bit, give me a little taste, let me play with it a little bit. Okay, now what's, okay, feed me some more, give me some more. And I think one of the areas that is lacking, for lack of a better word, is the area where all of that comes together, right? I mean, even in the offerings that we have, which are going to be great, they are sort of compartmental, right? So you get Google Docs and you get Google Drive, you get Google Sheets, you get even you get Google Classroom, but it's still the pieces and parts. And so I think there is definitely opportunity, and I guess opportunity is the word I'm going to use. There's definitely opportunity for those to be combined into a particular package.
I agree. I agree that that's the kicker. That's to me the true art of the PD, and there is a blurry line between education and technology. And a lot of our teachers get the technology and they get the education part of it. It's just taking those two things and incorporating it in their classroom and using it seamlessly between the two things. Just taking a workshop on Google Classroom is not going to help you populate Google Classroom with assignments. Just learning a workshop on Google Doc or Google Sheets or presentation or any of that good stuff is not going to help you populate the content of those things and make sure that you can disseminate it to students that they can learn. And I think that that's the key, is to help them learn how to save time, and time is the key. Time is the killer.
Absolutely.
Coming into a classroom and cutting out 30 seconds here and 45 seconds here of wasted time from reading what's on the chalkboard and getting out my notebook and writing it down and doing all that stuff, when coming into the classroom, opening my iPad that's already, say, locked into, or Chromebook's already locked into Google Classroom, so that I see the assignment and I immediately start work on it. That's 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes worth of saved time. In a week's time, you're looking at 100 minutes you saved using technology in the classroom. And I agree with David. There's a lot of great Microsoft stuff out there. In fact, I have to go ahead and make a plug. The OneNote app for iPad is phenomenal. Phenomenal app. I highly recommend it. It's a freebie. But it's interesting. I think that I'll make this statement, which might catch some fire, but I think that some of our old ways in technology are actually hindering us in the edutech field. I think we're coming to a future with the cloud that means that if you're using Google Apps, that the tech guys at the school will be there to make sure that you can get in and get out safely, that everything's there to protect the students and make everything work well, provide for the hardware, provide for the software that you might possibly need. But the old days of keeping giant NAS and SAN storage units and keeping home directories and keeping all this stuff just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
It's better money spending it on bandwidth, so that you can just put it out there in the cloud. And Google realized that, and Google knew it. That's why every school now has unlimited storage. Take a look down at the bottom of your Google Drive and you go 10 terabytes. Yeah, trust me, you take a lot of time to fill up 10 terabytes. Yeah. But interestingly enough, that's one more thing. Mixlr.com, mixlr.com/EduTechGuys. If you want to get on and chat with us, go there. You can also go to EduTechGuys.com. You'll see the player window there. You can listen to the show from there. I'd love to hear from some chats if you have any out there. We'd ask us any questions. There's another one for you. Live streaming from a classroom. Mixlr app has a wonderful app, loads up on Windows and Mac, and you can broadcast straight from your classroom. You can do an hour at a time for free, as many hours as you want to, which means you could do a 15 or 20 minute broadcast one day a week from every one of your classes at a high school level, junior high level, elementary. You've got probably one class you're dealing with anyway, but you could do broadcasts like crazy. There's one more integration of technology into the classroom that your parents would love. And
you were heading in the exact direction. As soon as you were talking about the different aspects of doing a live broadcast, how cool would it be if the students, right, as part of your curriculum, you had the students fire up the Mixlr app, or there's a variety of other ones, but they fire up, say, Mixlr, and they have their script there, and you have little Johnny and little Susie, and they read their 2 or 3 sentences or whatever it is, and boom, it's out there. And if you're able to do it, if you're able to do it at a particular time, then the advantage is you can say, hey, we're going to do this live at 2:30 every day, and we're going to talk about what we learned that day, or what we did the day before. And just, it doesn't have to be very long, doesn't have to be very much, but by the same token, even if it's not something you can do on a consistent basis time-wise every day, well, okay, so maybe you just go ahead and you do it anyway whenever you have the time available, and then it's saved out online. That's what you share with all the parents and community members, and boom, you've got some outreach. And
Instant podcast right there.
Exactly, instant podcast. You have parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles. They're all oohing and ahhing over, hey, that was my little Jimmy on there. I mean, and it's very cool stuff. There are a lot of teachers who do classroom blogging, and there's nothing against classroom blogging at all. I think the fact that there are people doing it is awesome. I mean, I really do. But to me, this would be taking that kind of even to the next level. And heck, for that matter, they could podcast what it is that they blogged about. Now you're just taking the same words that they put on the blog and they're reading them into whichever online audio system they want to do. I mean,
it's interesting. We are a rural school. I have a hard time saying that word, rural.
Rural.
It being that, when the radio station calls and says, hey, we'd love to have the superintendent on this morning, or principal on this morning for the morning show, and that superintendent or principal has to get up, or band director or coach, they have to get up at the butt crack of dawn and drive down to the radio station to get on the radio station. Well, here's what's really interesting. Just like social media, if your website has a Mixler or a Spreaker or whoever you want to go with, live streaming software on the site, and you do consistently, and there's the key. We all know in education that consistency is the key. So if you consistently do 15 minutes and it's going to be on at 7:45, then 15 minutes every morning, you can get the lunch menu, pickup time, early releases, any major announcements. Your superintendent, your principal, someone can come on board and do a 2-minute little, hey, welcome to our school. We're doing this week, and thanks for listening to us, parents. Don't forget there's testing. If you'll do that consistently, you won't have to worry about going down the radio station, because guess what? You suddenly have your own. And the beautiful part is that you do that at 7:45 or 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning, and that show reel is going to be there. That podcast is going to be there for anybody to come by and go, well, I missed it live this morning, but I can click it right now. So that's a really big deal. And what's nice about all of these products is that you can download them as MP3s, drop them into a Google Drive, because you got 10 terabytes of storage, and save them forever. And then you have this massive archive. I agree with you about the class. I can't think of anything cooler than an elementary class once a week, creative writing. The classroom votes on who had the best story or the best creative writing for that week, and those 2 or 3 or however many students, depending on how long it is, get to read their creative writing piece live on the air, so that grandma and grandpa and aunts and uncles can listen to it, and the kids, hey, I'm broadcasted on the internet. It's a really big deal to a kid.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think it's a really cool thing. You're listening to EduTechGuys on Mixler, mixlr.com/EduTechGuys. If you log in, you can chat with us now. Looks like we have a lot of listeners still online, so we're pretty excited about it. It's the first episode. Maybe you could help us out. Please drop in on the chats. Drop by the website, edutechguys.com, edutechguys.com. At the bottom, you'll find a contact form. Let us know how bad we are, and if you could, let us know how good we are, so that we can make sure and get this thing fixed up. Hey, real quick, we're going to take a short break, take care of some messages coming in here, and we'll be right back. Hey, we're back. That was Tim Goins. Great piece called Faux Pas. Uh, on occasion, we'll play some music here because we both like music.
Hey, yeah, absolutely.
It does fill time while we're waiting to get back on the air. Hey, you're listening to EduTechGuys.com on Mixlr, mixlr.com/EduTechGuys. You can also go to the website, edutechguys.com, edutechguys.com. You'll also find a player there on the window. At the bottom, you'll find our contact form. Please write in and tell us how horrible we are and what things you would like us to fix.
You got to quit saying that, man.
Actually, just let us. Please give us some ideas on what you'd like to hear. What you'd like to hear topics on. Throughout the summer, we'll be doing this every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. I probably should have thrown that out in the other 51 minutes of this broadcast.
Yes, well, we're still learning as we're going along here. We'll get it figured out by the time it's all said.
Yeah, the guy that's running our teleprompters has just been way behind.
Yeah, that's right.
We're actually doing this in a refrigerator box in a parking lot outside the Southwest Arkansas Co-op in Arkansas. No, this is a great room. We're at the Southwest Arkansas Educational Co-op in Hope, Arkansas, and we're broadcasting to you live. So this is the first episode. Looks like we have a friend of ours online. I'd like to give a shout out to Chad Brinkley.
Hey, Chad. Thanks for joining us, man. Appreciate it. Yeah.
He's out in Murfreesboro, Arkansas, handling business there. He's also a rep of one of our favorite companies, my favorite companies. Makes a great piece of software. And maybe later this summer we'll have Chad on and let him talk about some products that he works with and what they're doing in Murfreesboro. He helps out with their education technology there quite heavily.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, man. So we were going to finish up today with the last bit of stuff. We got about 8 minutes left in the show. David is the technology coordinator for the Southwest Arkansas Educational Co-op, and we get some great PD from these guys. And we talked earlier in the show about all the Google Apps offerings that were coming out from them this summer, but there is a list of other offerings. So I was going to turn it over to David and let him give you a shout out on those.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. One of the things that we do as an education cooperative, and I want to pause right there a moment because a lot of folks are not familiar with that term. In other places, they are referred to as BOCES or education service agencies or education service centers. We are the same type of thing that you may hear. So if you're not sure what an education cooperative is, if you look up BOCES, that's BEOCES for your area, or a education service agency in your area. We do similar things here in Southwest Arkansas. So some of the offerings that we have technology-wise, we've got a really cool thing coming up that is called the SWAEC Tech Slam, and the idea behind the Tech Slam is that it's an all-day workshop, but everyone who comes to the workshop has the opportunity to talk about a favorite app or a favorite website or a favorite program that they like, just something or some a cool gadget that they've started using in their classroom. And so basically everybody gets anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes to talk about one particular thing, and then we have discussion about that. So that's called the Tech Slam, and I think to me that's going to be that's going to definitely be one of the more open-ended, kind of fast-paced. You're throwing this out, you're throwing that out. We slow things down wherever the conversation takes us, and then we pick it right back up, and you're slamming this technology and slamming that technology, just throwing it out there as a way to kind of shotgun all kinds of different things that you can use in your classroom, for your classroom, with your students, with other teachers, with your administrators, with parents, so whatever it happens to be. So that's the Tech Slam, and that's actually happening June 16th, and we have plenty of spots available for that. And again, any of these workshops that I'm talking about, you can go to SWAEC.org, hit the professional development button, and you can go through the calendar that we have there that shows all of the offerings, not just technology, but everything that we have to offer this summer. So the Tech Slam is a very cool one. I apologize. I lost my. I don't know where my page went that I had the. Oops, I lost it. So, one of the other things, there's another one that I can tell you about without any prompting at all, and that is on July 31st. Excuse me. On July 31st, we are doing an escape room. All right, so check this out. The premise behind the escape room is that you've been captured by Pirate Pete and his band of scallywags and thrown into the brig of the captain's ship. And you have an hour to escape before Pirate Pete comes back and makes you walk the plank. And so what happens is participants will be given a series of puzzles that they have to solve, and then those puzzles will unlock other puzzles or certain clues, hints, and it's kind of a scaffolding type arrangement where you have a bunch of things to solve, and then you have a couple of things to solve, and then you have another thing to solve, and all those pieces and parts work together to help that group escape from the room. And the puzzles there's all kinds of puzzles. I'm not giving anything away. I'm just going to say there's all kinds of different puzzles. There are logic puzzles. There are language arts puzzles, math puzzles. There's visual puzzles. So it really applies to or pertains to all different types of learning subjects, learning styles, and that is only the first hour of the workshop because you have an hour to get out, right? So whether they make it out or not, after that, we walk the participants, the teachers who come to this, we walk them through the various aspects and talk to them about game building in their classroom, how they could even build a mini escape room, for their students if they wanted to go that route, or how to take some of the puzzle ideas and incorporate those into their various subjects. So I'm very excited about that. We're doing a whole thing.
So
We're
problem
decorating
solving.
It is problem solving, and I'm glad you said that. I don't know why that never entered my brain to say, but it is actually called the Escape Room: 21st Century Problem Solving in Action, and that's exactly what it is. It is taking problem and project-based learning and putting it in action and getting the teachers and whoever else, the participants involved from the end product to the how did we get there to how do I do this myself. So I'm very excited.
Okay, so now
about
where's
that.
the tech in that? Tell me you guys have a transporter.
We have a
Laser guns?
we do have
we're 3D printing a hammer to beat ourselves out.
That's right. We've got a 3D print. No, we're not.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
No, hey, I hear you. There is some technology that is wrapped up into those,
Sure.
but I'm not going to divulge the secrets of the.
Well, yeah, we don't give anybody hints on how to get out of the brig. Beat
the two people that are listening. I don't
now,
want.
I'm hoping you're Pirate Pete, and I can't wait to see you dressed up as Pirate Pete. Is someone dressed up as Pirate Pete?
Someone is supposed to be dressed up as Pirate Pete, and I do believe I have been elected to fill the role. So we will see how that goes.
If any of our friends are listening, that you do a good Michael Jackson. I will say that. I remember that Halloween years back. He was.
Yes, thank you. That was. I do a fat Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I hear you there, brother.
And again, I don't know where you put that, man. Oh, I see what you did. Okay, I'm a tech guy. I know this technology.
Yeah, we're sorry. We're having a lot of trouble with our guy running the cue cards. He's doing a terrible job here.
That would be Dave, and he's an idiot. Okay. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Dave's going to finish up.
So
hey,
I was just going to say,
you're just now listening. You're listening to EduTechGuys Radio. This is episode 1, first time on the air. We're glad to come to you from the Southwest Educational Cooperative in Hope, Arkansas, and we're talking to David Henderson. He's one of the hosts. I'm Jeff Madlock. David's the technology coordinator at the co-op, and he is talking to us about some of their offerings that they're having this summer.
And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about some of the other ones, but just to give kind of a rundown of some of the other things that we're offering. I'm actually teaching a workshop called Learn to Code the Fun Way. I'm actually going to take participants into various websites and applications that make coding actually fun. Coding is kind of a big scary word to a lot of folks, so we're going to have fun with it. We're going to play a little oh my gosh, I just lost the word.
Poker. No.
No, not poker.
Hangman.
Oh my goch.
I'm throwing out stuff here.
I can't remember. Scratch.
Red Rovers and David on over.
Scratch. We're going to be using some Scratch. We'll also be looking at a site called Battle Code or Code Battle, something like that. I can't remember the order of the words.
I want to throw one
there,
in there. I'll interject something real quick out there. If you use an iPad, there's a great app called Workflow. And Workflow lets you build kind of your own workflows by building somewhat basic programming between apps that you have and things that you do. Like if you post something to Twitter, the workflow will let you, when you take a picture with your iPad or your iPhone, you can run the workflow to then post it to Twitter and Facebook, things like that. Just throw it out there. It's called Workflow. But back to David on his workshop.
And then a couple of other ones just real quick. We're going to have a session on gamification with or without technology. Gamification, turning things into games, or making the whole gamification awards and rewards. That workshop is going to cover that, whether you're using technology to do it or you're just using stickers, scratch and sniff Snickers or whatever Snickers. You could have scratch and sniff Snickers. I don't know, whatever kind of candy bar you like. I don't care. Anyway, internet safety. We're going to be looking at. We actually have several problem-based learning workshops that we're going to be offering. And we're actually going to be doing a couple of Excel workshops as well. So again, you can go to swaec.org. That's interesting. swaec.org, and at the professional development button on there, and that will pull up our calendar, and you can go there to see all the different offerings that we have in a variety of subject areas.
Yeah.
So I appreciate everybody listening, and I just want to say I know we're getting ready to wrap up here. So I appreciate everybody who has come in and out of our debut session for
inaugural.
Yeah, there you go. Inaugural. Our inaugural broadcast of EduTechGuys, and hope that you guys will be back again to join us. But I tell you what, if you're listening to us after the fact on Mixlr or through podcasting, I appreciate you checking us out after the fact.
Yeah, make sure you go to edutechguys.com, edutechguys.com. On that site, you'll also find at the bottom a contact form. Hey, drop us some suggestions and some ideas we could do for the show. You can also catch us at Mixlr, mixlr.com/edutechguys. Sometimes I talk a little bit too fast for my own tongue. But you can go there and you can actually pull up the show reel that you'll find on that site and listen to any of the previous shows. After today, there will be one previous show. So we're also putting those out on the podcast. You can also make sure if you hit the EduTechGuys website that you look at some of the blogs. There are some great running blogs on there. In fact, I'd like to throw out, if you're any of the tech guys out there are listening, you want to catch David's last blog from May 25th on circumventing firewalls. Networks is a discipline issue, not a tech issue. That's a great article that has to do with a lot that's going on in our classrooms and what our tech guys are having to deal with and what should be happening in the classroom discipline-wise. So making sure you take a look at that. A lot of blogs, a lot of new articles coming up on that website. So make sure you check back often. And like I said, this show will be on every Wednesday throughout the summer at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Any other special shows that might come our way, when we have time, I think would be the real thing. We'll definitely promote on the website and through Twitter. Also follow us at EduTechGuys on Twitter. So that's another great place. You'll also find David there at DavidNArc, and you'll find myself at JMadlock. That's MADLOCK. So
awesome.
Make sure you follow us on those sites. Once again, thanks for coming today. I'm Jeff Madlock.
And I'm David Henderson.
And thanks for listening to us. We'll talk to you later. This has been EduTech Guys with David Henderson and Jeff Madlock.